Rabbi Stanley Chester, thank you very much. You grew up in Israel. You lived there 19 years, moved there with your parents when he was 6 years old. Your father was one of the pioneers of the Messianic movement starting back in the 1960s. There were only a few Messianic families back then, but now there are over 2 million Messianic Jews worldwide. Growing up in the Messianic movement gave Rabbi Stanley Chester in-depth knowledge concerning the roots of our faith, and he now shares that information with Messianic synagogues and yeshivas, rabbinical universities all over the world. And you currently live in Washington State. I hope it's a nice day there today. And you travel to Israel every year, taking groups on tours as their guide. So you know an awful lot about Israel.
Yes, we go there every year. We take tours. I know many of the believers that are there, many of them that have suffered because of what just happened. From the Palestinians, what they've done. We're in constant contact. We had a member that was there just recently during the attack. I just left about a month ago, and I was able to talk her out of the dangerous places she was at and get her to the airport and safely return home. So we're very, very connected to Israel.
Wow. That is absolutely stunning. And I'm sure that you were in shock when you heard of what was going on in this country that obviously you love so much. Okay.
Yeah, it was surprising. It was surprising,
Yeah.
but I did know that it was coming. I was there when the Israelis made their incursion into Jenin, and all the mainstream media was saying, okay, now it's all over and so forth. And I did a report. And I said, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. And I even said I need to get out of here because things are going to get hot. And they did.
When was that you were saying these things?
Weeks before this happened.
Okay. So you had a sense, and it is my understanding that people are reporting that Israel was being warned that something was coming. They were doing their, practices of some sort of terrorist activity, right? So
the chief intelligence officer in Israel even told the government that this was coming. And I knew not just from a hunch, I speak Hebrew and I speak Arabic as well. And I would go into, not dressed like this, but I would go into the Arabic villages, sitting there having coffee. I could hear the rumors. I could hear that they were planning these things. They had no idea that I could understand what they were saying.
Wow. So do you have any thoughts then, before we go into sort of some other explanations of the reality of the situation, but do you have any thought as to why this colossal epic fail of the security and securing and safety of Israel took place?
Yes, I do. And it's not really good news. There's two main things, two main failures that happened. And one was that what a lot of people here don't understand is that today's Israeli army they're not the same as their fathers and grandfathers were. They're basically the millennials of Israel. So they become much more lax. They're not as tried and true as their fathers and their grandfathers were. That was one issue. The second issue is that there are many Muslims in the IDF. If they live in Israel, and that part that we call Israel today, they join the IDF. So it's all throughout, and even in the government. So I think what the Israelis are about to find out is that they had been passing on information to their brothers in the Gaza and the West Bank in order to make this possible. You can even see in some of the videos sent by Hamas themselves that they were flying over Israeli installations and precisely dropping bombs on equipment that was used to be able to see different things in the West Bank, that view the gates, the fence, and all those sort of. Absolutely. I wouldn't have even known where to drop those bombs. How did they know this? We're going to find out, and the Israelis will discover this after they do what they got to do. They're going to find out there was a lot of insider information that was
Right.
passed on to their brothers. And then they're going to have to find a way to deal with that.
So is that, I mean, that's a very difficult thing because everybody's calling, for a ceasefire and be loving and, let's
Mhm.
just get past this or something. But if you are actually trying to work with people and they betray you, they give information to the enemy. This is a big problem.
Right. No matter how much one loves peace, it will not protect them from Hamas. It will
Mm.
not protect them. So most of those people that were attacked, the small kibbutzes down by Gaza, those were people who believed they could coexist with the Palestinians. And even the concert, we've seen lots and lots of videos of the concert where
Yeah.
Hamas came in. Those young people all believed in peace. I also believe in peace, but I believe in peace through victory. Peace
Yes.
through victory. The Israelis have to be able to protect themselves. And now that the Palestinians are on the run, people are saying, oh, well, now we should stop. I kind of liken that to where if you had a serial killer over here in the West, in America or Canada, and you had a serial killer and the police found out where this guy was and they go after him and he runs, should the police then say, oh, well, he's running now, we should stop pursuing him? No, they need to continue on and make sure that the people are safe and that they receive justice.
Right. I want to ask you about this. I'm very confused about all of the families that, there's been a lot of deaths that have happened now in the Gaza area because, but weren't they warned? Why are families still there? Like I've just been saying out loud, if I knew that anyone was going to blow my neighborhood up, I would not be here. I would find a way
Right.
out.
Right. So the Palestinians, when they arranged this attack, they knew what was going to happen. They knew that Israel was going to come in force. So they do this kind of a stage so that when the Israelis return fire and protect themselves, they then take video of it. They then take pictures of it and they show all these terrible things that the Israelis are doing. They did this on purpose. Okay, they did it for the media. I call this the terrorists' last hurrah. They have discovered that terrorism is becoming less and less popular around the world. And they have found they can use the mainstream media to propagate their goal. Their goal, like I've heard you say before, is to take over the world. And it is. That's their goal. Gaddafi said not long before he died, he said, we don't need terrorism anymore. We don't need it. We can do it by population growth. We can take over the world by population growth and by democracy. And that's happening here in America. The Muslims are getting high, important positions in the government, and they're changing policies. It is much more effective than terrorism. I'm not saying terrorism is going to stop. I'm not saying that by any means. But I am saying it's not as popular as it used to be. Hamas is getting less funding because of the Abrahamic Accords. Israel's making friends with other Arab nations. And terrorism is losing its power. So this was their last chance to get on the news, and they don't care if every Palestinian is killed. They're stopping them. I've been down to Gaza many times. I've been through the mazes. I've seen how they operate. And they have tunnels that go from southern Gaza into Egypt. Israel has destroyed many of them, but there's still a lot of them. So if they really wanted to get out, they could just go out through the tunnels. They have bulldozers. This is a city. They have bulldozers. They can break through the barriers. We know they can do that because they just did it to go kill Jewish babies. They could get out.
Do you think part of it is also that in their allegiance to the Muslim faith, the radical Muslim faith, Allah Akbar, that if they want to secure their place in some eternal bliss with 70 virgins, or secure their place, that if they're seen as someone who gave their life for the cause, that maybe that's why they're just willing to lay down their lives and not get out of
Absolutely.
Gaza. Mhm.
Absolutely. They send their children with bombs strapped to them. I've seen it. I was there through both intifadas, uprisings. I was also there through the Iraqi war. They send their kids out to die. You can't reason with people who think like that.
It's absolutely shocking. And what kind of religion is this? It might be why many Muslims are coming to Christ. Many Jews are also finding Jesus. And so, before we get to sort of the shift in our culture with that, I've received an email from someone. I'm going to let her know that her email will be used as a bit of helpful talking points. And I get this different kind of view, and I don't want to be wrong, and I want to investigate, and not just from the propaganda on our mainstream media. So she says, hi. If you have ever been to Palestine, I think you would understand it is full apartheid. Now, my question there would be, where's Palestine? Because do you know of a place called Palestine?
There is never has been a country called Palestine. Palestine, when it was first used, was to denote a region, not a country. There's never been a king of Palestine, a government of Palestine. It was a region in history, just like the Sahara. There was no king of the Sahara, it was an area. So they have nothing that they can say there concerning that, because it was never a country.
Right. So she says it is full apartheid. It's an open air prison. And I've seen this being communicated. So if you could tell me a little bit about the relationship between Gaza and the Jews and this notion of the open air prison.
Most of the Gazans work in Israel. That's where they get their income from. So millions go in and out. So that doesn't sound to me like much of a prison. So they want to make it sound like they're trapped in this area, and they're not. If they wanted to get out, again, we could see they could cut their way out. It's not that difficult for them to do. We have to understand that in the Quran, it says that they are allowed to lie to the infidel. And that's what they do. That entire email that you got, it's all there. They can lie, and that's okay, because they're doing it for the greater cause in their minds.
So you were saying that in this area of Gaza, first of all, can I confirm the history that Gaza was returned and given to the people that might call themselves Palestinians? And that is actually a term that's only 100 years old. Before that, there was not Palestinians, there was Philistines.
That's right.
And somebody changed the name of Judea, or whatever it was called previously, to Palestina in AD 70 or something like that, if I've got that history right. And do you remember Gaza being given back to the people there? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Well, if we even go back to the ancient history of the word Palestine, if you translate it into Latin, it's Philistine. And that's who they claim to be descendants of. But I've done many archaeological digs in Israel. My dad was an archaeologist as well. And if you look at the pictures of the ancient Philistines, they were Caucasian with blue eyes. Anybody can look this up. So they can't be the descendants of the ancient Philistines.
Wow.
So the Gazans that are there, the vast majority of Palestinians are actually, and they used to be Jordanian passport holders. They're mostly Jordanians. So they have no right to the land.
Right. And I mean, Jordan, like all of these places have rejected these Palestinians, right? Like
they don't want them.
Nobody wants them. Lebanon has, and I think they tried to overthrow Jordan's
They did.
Right, and then it didn't work out for them very well.
That's
so they get rejected.
Nobody
they get
wants
given
them.
Gaza, and then they continue to have bombs constantly lobbed at Israel, because is Gaza actually like a bit higher? It's sort of a mound. Is that, would you say that it's got an advantage because it's higher?
It does.
Land? Yes.
That's absolutely true. And nobody wants them because they're murderers. Who wants a bunch of murderers? because that's all they've been
That
doing
is
in
their
every country they go
history.
to. Tunisia, everywhere they go, all they do is cause trouble. So none of the Arabs want them. They want them in Israel. Let it be their problem.
Right. Right. So Israel's actually been very generous. Israel gave Palestine Gaza in 2005,
Yep.
which has been grossly mishandled to the point of using
Mhm.
Gaza to come on in and to brutalize people just over 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
And then the Palestinians, and I've been in Israel twice, and so I
Mhm.
saw the Palestinian side and the Israeli side and people mingling. I saw that there
Mhm.
was peace right in the midst of Israel between Palestinians and the Jews. So that has
Mhm.
been going on.
Yes. Yeah. In history, we've gotten along very well with our Arab brothers all throughout history. But we have always been second class citizens. And you don't see that with the Palestinians that are living inside of Israel. They're given full citizenship. Like I said, they're in the government. They can be in the IDF. They can use our universities. Where will you see that in any Arab country for the Jewish people? You won't. So this whole apartheid idea is fictitious.
Right. Okay, so thank you for debunking that. Now, some
Mhm.
tough things that people are saying is tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians have been murdered, over half of them and or were children. These are the facts. Now, she's not clarifying when she's talking about, what she's talking about. And I will say to my audience and to you that I have had people say, oh, there was this incident like in 1973 or 83. And I go look it up and I get all the facts on it and then I write them back. And the facts actually do not purvey that Israel's been trying to take over the Middle East. Isn't it true
Mhm.
they've wanted their little sliver of land where Israel was declared a nation by the UN in a day,
That's
which
right.
is very scriptural? In a
Mhm.
day shall a nation be created, and they were. They had the full support, and then they were attacked pretty much from that day on.
Absolutely. People don't understand how many attacks are actually taking place there. You can go to the Israeli government website and you'll find that it's been in the triple digits every month since last October. So we're talking about a year of triple digits, a minimal of 100 terror attacks per month, and you're not even hearing about that over here.
Wow.
Oftentimes in some of those months, it's over 200 attacks. So these attacks are happening. This is another thing that contributed to the problem there, the failure of the Israelis to be able to protect themselves, is they're used to these little attacks, 3, 4 terrorists here, 3 or 4 terrorists there. Only a few Israelis died here, only a few there, so it doesn't make big news. So they were used to these smaller attacks, and they were usually from one area. They were either from Gaza, or they were from the north, from Hezbollah, is Hezbollah in English, or they were from the so-called West Bank. This attack came from all those different places,
Mm.
and it was so many, it overwhelmed them. That was one of the failures, and I do believe they're going to rectify that soon. The Israelis will
Right.
be much more on target about that.
Right. So one of the failures being the sheer amount of people. They were not
Yes,
prepared, nor could have they possibly been prepared.
yes,
I also saw another video with people from Israel stating that people had been coming in from Gaza to work right in their area. And they
yes,
believe because of the precision
preciseness.
of the attacks that
Yes,
that was basically these people reported back, and
yeah.
that's how they were able to take so many lives.
Exactly. And I think you witnessed some of that when you were there. You saw how the Palestinians were getting along well with the Israelis. Sure, there was a lot of that, but in the whole time, they're collecting intel.
Is there any way, can I just ask a crazy question, but
Mm.
oh, if somebody were to offer me a great place to live and say, I mean, they spend millions and billions of dollars on all of this. Like, could they not just say to the Palestinians, listen, because I mean, I think it's actually already been done. I was in another show, and basically 5 times they've been offered these settlement packages, different places.
Mhm.
But wouldn't there, I mean, maybe we just can't all live together. Maybe we just
Yeah.
can't.
They were offered their own nation multiple times, going back decades ago. And each time they said no. If you
Right.
even look on the patches of their uniforms, from the various factions, all the different factions, they don't show a country that just shows the West Bank and Gaza. It shows all of Israel.
Mhm.
Their aim is clear.
Right. Now, another thing that I've heard, and this lady kind of encapsulated quite a few things that I've heard, the CIA and Mossad created Hamas. Now, my thinking is that I've read some stuff, but basically Israel's had a lot of issues, security. So maybe they did train, maybe they did, have some, trying to help to get some security for themselves. Is that what has
Mhm.
happened, or is there truth to this?
No, there's no truth to that. If Hamas had been created by the West, by America, which they call the great Satan, if it was created by us, then the Palestinian people as a whole would want nothing to do with it. So they wouldn't have voted Hamas in as their leaders. If you go down to Gaza and the West Bank, they all love Hamas. So there's no truth to that.
Right. Okay, so just letting this writer know that,
Mhm.
someone who's been there, because she says, if you've ever been
Mhm.
to Palestine, and I have actually, and I saw the piece of, I got a different feeling when I went over to the other side, I have to say, and we were trying
Mhm.
to do some filming on a rooftop, and the
Mhm.
Palestinians were actually shooting off very large, I don't know if it was guns or what, but they were shooting
Mhm.
off stuff to actually, disrupt our broadcast that we were doing.
Right.
So that happened.
Right.
So this person says, anyone who is a God-fearing person who supports genocide will have to answer to God. I absolutely agree with that. It's
Mhm.
unfortunate that I'm basically choosing sides. I think she's
Mhm.
choosing sides. She
She
seems to
is.
be on the side the opposite
Yeah.
of me. All right.
Right.
The Zionists are and have been committing genocide. Now, so that's a big statement. First of all, would you say Zionist, if we could define it, that could be as broad as someone who believes that Israel has the right to their nation? That's a Zionist.
Exactly. Exactly. And if there was this genocide that was taking place, we're seeing all kinds of videos now coming out where the Palestinians are staging these horrific things. They even had one that went around the internet where it showed this little baby crying and trying to pull itself out of the rubble. They found out it was AI generated. It wasn't even real. So
Wow.
if this genocide is taking place, why don't they just take some real pictures? Why do they have to manufacture these things? It's because it's not happening. Israel is very precise. They have incredible intelligence, and they're taking out the people. Will innocent people sometimes get hurt and get killed? Yes, and Hamas is banking on that. Hamas isn't just Hamas. Hamas is the Palestinians. The Palestinians are Hamas. They're all together working for the same goal.
Okay, now, would I be able to push back on that and say that I've heard there are Christian Palestinians? Would you say that there could be a faction of the people that do not support what Hamas has done or is doing, and that they are
Yes,
really being lorded over by these evil people that have put
yes,
themselves in government?
absolutely. I have friends that are believers in Jesus that are Palestinian. But if you look at the percentage, we're talking about 0.001%. And it's impossible in a war to vet those people out,
Yeah,
unfortunately. There's just no
right.
way to do it because they'd all lie. They'd say, "Oh yeah, I'm a Christian. I'm even a Jew." They'll say whatever they have to.
Right.
So there's
Well,
nothing
you're
that the
allowed to
Israelis can.
lie as a Muslim,
Yeah.
especially to your enemy, Takia.
Hmm.
You're
Hmm.
allowed to I mean,
Hmm.
it's very difficult. So this whole lie about the hospital being bombed, I mean, it's not only that this falsity came out, and then Hamas, to my understanding, reported hundreds of deaths immediately. And then
Right.
that was just propagated, everywhere
Right.
until blazing proof that
Right.
Israel never shot the hospital. It was a misfire from these jihadis.
Right. Well, there have been times in the past where we have hit hospitals. And the reason being is that Hamas will go to these hospitals and shoot at Israel. Then Israel just targets where that came from. And they've had their headquarters based under hospitals. And they will threaten the patients in the hospital. If they try to leave, they'll be killed by Hamas.
Right. They literally use these families. It is my understanding from the reports that I've read, reports that came out, that people trying to leave Gaza were blocked by Hamas.
Absolutely. And that's what they want to see, the death and the destruction, even of their own people, so that they can use that as propaganda to send to the rest of the world. And a lot of the world is buying it.
Terrible. Okay. So they want all Palestinians out of Palestine. Again, the writer of this email doesn't seem to understand there is no Palestine.
That's
so if she's talking about Israel that has been given back to the Jews, that you can read the Holy Bible and see Israel. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, why isn't Bethlehem in Israel? You know, I was shocked to go over there and find out Bethlehem. I mean, Jesus was born in Bethlehem, you know?
Right. So it's all about a campaign for misinformation, because they know if they can get their story on mainstream media, the majority of people will believe it. So they're free to say whatever they want. They can make up any story they want. And there's a big percentage of people in the West, not just America, Canada, but also throughout Europe, that'll believe it.
Right. And so thank you for being here to set some of the records straight. The next thing she says, and JT, I do have this on a share so I can actually, highlight this person's actual comments, but she says there is vast wealth from oil and natural gas in Gaza. And so the Zionists want this and the land.
If that were true, if there was this vast wealth that they have there in Gaza, why are they always putting out pictures of all these shacks, ones I've seen? There's nice places in Gaza too, but all these shacks, why wouldn't they use the money from all these natural resources to have better lives? And the money that they do get from other Arab countries, millions, if not billions of dollars, the leaders take all this money and don't share it with their people. So
right.
it's they're doing it to themselves.
And why?
Yeah.
Well, why would they have given it back in 2005 peacefully, literally with the army pulling out Israeli families who were screaming and crying? I remembered. I didn't understand. You know what I mean? I saw this as a huge offering of peace to remove their people who sobbed at losing their land in Gaza.
Yes. It was a lot of that also had to do with American pressure on the Israeli government. Israel doesn't have many friends, so they try to hold on to the ones that they have. So, and because of that, they make some decisions that they probably shouldn't have made. And that was one of them. We never should have taken those Jews out of that area.
Yeah.
It was a travesty.
I remember at the time, I was a lot younger then in 2005. Literally it's almost 20 years ago, 18 years ago now. And I remember as a younger person thinking, this doesn't feel right. This, like something's wrong with this decision. And in fact, I had some Israeli officials that were in Canada on a visit, and I got to speak with them personally. And actually the sadness in their eyes, they would not put down what the Prime Minister was doing at that time, but I saw the sadness, and
they didn't support it. They didn't support it. They want to support the government, so that's why they'd be quiet about it. But inside, 90% of the Israelis were against that. And 90% of the Israelis are behind Bibi today. I was there during the so-called protest by the Israelis.
Yes.
I went to ground zero. Over here, they were saying there were thousands of them. I was there. There was only about 300. It's a very small, and most of them were tourists. So the
Right.
the media over the liberal media over here, they have ways of duplicating, so it looks like there's a lot of people when there actually isn't that many there, and they're employing all these deceptive methods to skew the understanding of the people in the West.
Mm.
90% of the people support Bibi. Every time we had elections, he won. Every time. What happened is with the Israeli government is after they win the election, they then have to put together a government. Now, those people that were in government, in order to say they'll sign on with the prime minister, they ask for things. They say, we want this, that, and the other thing, and X amount of power. And if he can't work out a deal with them, the government collapses and they have to go through the process again. The liberal media here wants to make it look like there's half of Israel is liberal, half of them are conservative, and that's what this problem is. If you look at the two prime ministers that won this last election before Bibi, one of them was an Orthodox Jew. They had two prime ministers that traded off. One was, you don't get much more conservative than that. The liberals there are very few, and Bibi has even said about the protesters, he said there's probably 1,000 of them in all of Israel. And the liberal media is tens of thousands. It's not true. It was all a lie. I was there. I saw it with my own eyes. I was at the protests in Tel Aviv at Ground Zero, and I was at the protests in Jerusalem at Ground Zero. There wasn't that many.
Wow. This is what we literally need now. We need eyewitness accounts. We need our phones going. That's why it's so important. If something's happening, everybody, turn your phone on, go live on Facebook or whatever, and try to get the truth out. But because, I mean, part of the truth that's come out of what Hamas did was one of these soldiers took a grandmother's own phone and on social media, basically filmed her death and sent it to her family. These people are so sick. Like, this is an unprecedented attack. So this lady, and I don't know that this is really fair to throw on you. I don't know much about genealogy and how you take samples, but she has no record of what she's saying here. But she says, did you know that there was a genealogy study done recently? They took samples from, I believe, 10,000 Israeli and Palestinian. Not one Israeli had any connection to the land they are on, but the Palestinians were over 90% Hebrew.
I hate to laugh because so many people believe these things. Again, they can make up any story they want, or they could take these tests and then give them to their Palestinian government, and then the government makes up the results.
Right. When I was in Israel, I was actually, we had tour guides and whatnot. We had genealogies. We met somebody that was in the lineage of David. There was like some epic, moments. And they loved Israel. Their family forefathers had been there. And then some had moved in 1948, some families, because a lot of people the Jews began to come back to their blessed home and their nation.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're in the end days, it says that all of Israel will be saved and that we will return to the land. This has been prophesied of. So we know that it's going to happen.
Yes. And so as I end with one more thing, I'll go back to this share. She says to me, I hope this gives you a little more insight into the truth. God bless. And so God bless you as well. You can take it off now. But God bless you as well. I don't want to show her name or anything, but I do want I just want to let her know, that it was used for fodder. I'm sorry, I'm losing my earpiece here. But you, as you were saying, there is a call. We'll end with this. There is a call, and also anything else you think is really important over what's just happened that we haven't covered. But there is a call and a word in the Bible that says that Israel will be saved. And that's still coming. They will be given an opportunity to accept their Messiah.
Yes, absolutely. And we pray for that every week in our shuls at Beit Avenu. We pray for that every week. And we believe it's going to happen. And it is happening. You had even mentioned earlier that many Jews are coming to the knowledge of their Mashiach. I'm a Haredi Jew. That's who my smicha, my ordination, is through. And I believe in Yeshua, in Jesus as the Messiah. And we have outreaches to the Hasidim. These are the most strict Jews. And we're seeing great work, many of them coming to the understanding of Yeshua. We're talking to them from the approach of a Jew. And it's even been in the newspapers. It's been in the Jerusalem Post, various liberal newspapers over there, that all these Hasidim are becoming, they'll call them Christians, but they are Christian, but Messianic Jews. And we're having a lot of success there. And we're the only ones in Israel that are reaching out to these people. And we've never seen nothing like this before. It's incredible. We wouldn't see a Hasidic come to Yeshua in a generation. And now we've seen multiple Hasidics in the last 2 years. It's an incredible thing that's happening.
Wow. Well, I sure do appreciate your insight into all of this. And I'm just, is there anything else that you feel is very important at this time of disinformation for people to understand about what is taking place right now?
Israel is trying to make it safe for their people. So we shouldn't be trying to stop them by saying, well, we need peace now. We need to understand they need to do what they got to do so that they can protect the people of Israel. That's first and primary. When you pray for the peace of Israel, as we're told to do in the scriptures, we need to understand what kind of peace are we asking for.
Very well said. And you can't have peace or negotiate with terrorists. Terrorists will simply kill you. Even if you're in a brutal relationship with somebody who's difficult, psychopaths, on a very small family level, you just can't negotiate with them. They do not have your best interests at heart. And in fact, they want to kill you. And when Hamas makes open statements about eradicating the earth from Jews, also Christians being thrown in there much more routinely and regularly. This is not the kind of people that you can make peace with. You've got to get rid of them.
Absolutely. That's right. Absolutely true. And pray for the victims, pray for the families of the victims, pray for the hostages. There's a lot we can do just through prayer.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here, Rabbi Stanley Chester. Thank you for all that you do, and maybe we'll see you on a tour one day in Israel.
We'd love that.
All right. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you. Okay, absolutely fascinating. So